I had given so much of myself throughout the school day that I had zero left. So when my mom went to the hospital that week, I was like, what the fuck am I doing in this classroom right now? Why am I not at my mom's bedside? So I left. And it was like the kick in the ass that I needed. You could do something else. You are capable of doing something else. And sometimes you just need that other person to say, hey, you know what? Just grab the bull by the horns and go do something else if you are not happy with whatever you're doing.
Hey there, fellow rebels. Welcome to #ActuallyICan, the podcast where we say a hearty hell yes to designing life on our own terms. I'm Katie Ripp, a lifestyle coach, business mentor, and serial entrepreneur, here to guide you through the wild ride of defying what society expects of us and embracing our authenticity. On this show, we dive deep into taboo topics like death, money, spirituality, entrepreneurship, unapologetic self-care, and personal development, all while swearing and laughing along the way. Expect down and dirty conversations, plenty of humor, and a whole lot of exploration, leaving you feeling empowered to be your truest self. Whether you're craving a good laugh, seeking unconventional self-care tips, or simply looking for some camaraderie, you've come to the right place. We only get this one short life, so buckle up and let's design yours on our own terms. Ready to dive in? Let's go! Let's just start with your story. Tell me why you reached out to even be on a podcast like this.
Honestly, I am all about stepping out of my comfort zone at this point. I feel like even though I am just some girl from Jersey, my story probably resonates with a lot more people than I think. And grief is talked about so little. And I feel like that is so important to talk about because it really changes you as a person and really can consume your life if you let it. You know, you allow it to at one point. So here I am just trying to share my story. And if I can help one other person change their trajectory to make them happier, then, hey, you know what? It's worth me speaking on a podcast or sharing my reel because you know what? That's what ended up changing my life was a freaking reel.
Oh,
yeah.
Tell me about that. I mean, go into your story about like why you were even looking for reels.
Yeah, but I wasn't. Like, that's the thing. This is what's crazy. So I'll bring this up.
Such a cool thing, right?
So let's go back 2010. I met my husband at a bar.
Mm-hmm. Same.
Old school, old fashioned, not online, loved it, whatever. Fireman. He just got hired full time. I ended up just getting a job as a teacher. Great. This seems like a great all-American couple, all the things.
Yeah, check, right?
Yeah, we're checking all the boxes.
Yeah.
And life goes on, and we're fine. We get married, all the things, have 2 kids. And then literally the weekend of COVID, my mom has stomach pain. She goes to the emergency room. They end up opening her up because they see there's a blockage in her intestine. They open her up, they remove it, and we're told that, it's cancer. Devastation right off the bat. But this is the best kind of cancer you can have, is what we're told. You get rid of it and you're good. And I knew in my heart of hearts that this was not correct. Like, this couldn't be correct. It was it's rare, but it's actually not a rare cancer. Neuroendocrine tumors is what she has. NETs. Apparently Steve Jobs had it.
Oh.
I think they called it pancreatic cancer, but technically it was NETs tumors that caused this. There's a lot of people that have this, but it goes undiagnosed because people go to the GI and they're like, okay, I have stomach issues. Okay, well, maybe it's a stomach bug. Maybe it's IBS. All of these things my mom was told. Lo and behold, it ended up being cancer. So they removed it. They said, you can come back. Let's do some PET scans every, couple months, whatever. I tried to push her to go to a specialist that was in the city, in New York City by us. And she wasn't budging. She was okay with what she heard. And it's almost like now that I think back, I'm like, I wonder if she just knew. This was her demise. This is how her story was going to end. And again, we carried on with life. Fast forward 2 years later, February 2022, she has severe pain. Her stomach issues were coming back again, and she was in and out of hospitals. She went back into the hospital. They ended up having to open her up again. They had said that there was some cancer that they had found through one of the scans, but like little, not much. They opened her back up. She was riddled with cancer. They took 17 inches of her intestine and gave her an ileostomy bag. And basically, it was the beginning of the end for her. And so she was small to begin with, very active. You know, it was very difficult for her to get nutrients back when you have an ileostomy bag like that. So then she was put on chemo, all the things. And it seemed very much more like insurance doesn't give a fuck. Doctors don't give a fuck. You're just a number. And no one cares.
How old was she, Brittany?
72. But I'm telling you, you would not have thought that if you saw
like
her.
70 is the new 50.
Yes, 100%.
Yeah, I have a mother-in-law like that. She
was like at the max every morning, like, living life. So that happens. And, she fights the good fight basically until Thanksgiving. And I remember that weekend, I was like, oh, I have to go down to spend Thanksgiving with my mom. I was like, I have to, you like go back and forth with holidays. I was like, no, I got to be there. And it's like, I knew. And then she hugged me and it was like, I knew that this was it. So we did that. Now I'm going to cry.
It's okay.
But so that week she went to the hospital and here I am. Let's go back to teaching. Teaching had changed drastically from like COVID. I was teaching at home. And then when we went back into the classroom, it was tough.
Yeah.
Kids were brutal.
You were teaching high school, is this right?
Yeah. I was a high school teacher and disciplinary issues was a daily thing. And thankfully, actually, during this time period, I had less disciplinary issues because I had higher level children like that were a little bit more self-motivated. So that helped. But when you're going through that and then you're like, oh, I have to go put on the dog and pony show the next day. Like my life isn't falling apart outside of this classroom. It's a crazy thing.
Yeah.
So when my mom went to the hospital that week, I was like, what am I doing here? I got a phone call saying, we were going to get results from something. I'm like, what the fuck am I doing in this classroom right now? Why am I not at my mom's bedside? So I left. I told the people I needed to tell, but I was like, I need to get out of here. As I was like, just a mess leaving. So I drove down and for the next couple of days, I took half days so that I could be there. And we ended up being told she was getting put on hospice, the whole bit. So dealing with that was a tough realization that this wasn't it for me. I was like, this sucks. Nobody cares about what I'm going through right now at all. They're like, make sure your sub plans are in.
Yeah.
Thankfully I had amazing coworkers that were like, don't worry about it. We'll figure it out. But in reality, I was doing the figuring out because that was me. I felt like I was responsible. So my mom goes on hospice. She goes into a coma. And she lasted a long time in a coma. Brutal.
So she was gone before she was gone.
Correct.
Yeah.
Yes. But she was at my parents' or her house. It was a long time. Just ridiculous. So January 2nd, I went back to school. I had put together 5 days of plans because obviously you grieve only in 5 days.
Yeah, of course.
And you'll get over it in 5 days. Yeah. So especially the death of your mom. So I put 5 days of plans together and she ended up passing away January 3rd. And I had all that stuff together. And I'm like, again, what am I doing? And my husband and I have toyed with me leaving because it just didn't make sense. The teaching job, yes, on paper looks great. Mm-hmm. But it's really not family friendly. You're missing a lot of stuff with your kids. You start school, especially if you're a high school teacher, you're starting school either earlier or the same time as your kids. So you're missing that first day of school. You're missing school drop off. You're paying someone to be taking your kid to and from places. You're missing extra hours of time with your family. Not family friendly at all. So there's that. My husband's like, I don't want to pay anyone. And we had no way for our kids to get school unless we're paying for before care, which even the times didn't line up with that.
Yeah.
With how early I had to leave to go to my job.
And is your husband on a 24-hour deal?
Yeah, he does 24 on, 72 off, but then.
Yeah. A job that also looks great on paper, right?
Correct.
Yeah.
But it's so funny that you say that because like 8 days a month he works, but I swear to you, those 8 days, we always have something that this falls on and like screws up something. So, which is crazy. But, you know,
I mean, I'm an entrepreneur. I've worked for other people, and like all jobs look good on paper. The best job that doesn't look good on paper is working for yourself.
Yeah. It doesn't. Yeah. No, I mean, you're right. But again, these are things like you wouldn't know as a teacher, for example. Like,
well, the security and the stability of a teaching job with the quote unquote summers off, right?
Yes.
Like that's the big thing, especially for my sister was a 5th grade teacher for a long time. And of course, like there's a certain number of people in the population that are like, teachers don't work hard enough. They get days off. They only work 7:30 to 4, you know, every weekend, every holiday, you know, all the things that everybody's always fucking said. I get it, right? Like, I understand how people can perceive it that way. I do. At the same time, I have talked to, I mean, I don't actually know the number, but it's almost 20 teachers that have left for entrepreneurship because it is so toxic, bureaucratic, so exhausting.
That's what it is.
I mean, so like not family friendly. And not all jobs need to be family friendly, but I know a number of teachers that are still teaching that's her biggest regret is she doesn't get to go to back to school because she's got to go to her own back to school night. Yeah. That's something that eventually does wear on you. Mm-hmm. And the grief part of this, right? Like losing somebody like that, there is a before and there is an after, if you ask me.
100%.
I would probably guess that you feel the same.
I'm 100% different than I was before.
There's before that kind of loss, and there's an after. Mm-hmm. Now, there's tons of silver linings for me too, and we don't talk about that enough, I don't think. There are things that happen in loss in your lives that just change you organically, systematically, internally, externally. Like, you don't know it until you've been through it. Mm-hmm. But it does make a shift. There is a before and there is an after.
Yeah, I 100% agree. I felt stuck before. Even technically, you're not supposed to make any rash decisions right after you lose someone, at least within the first year or two.
Yeah, I don't know where that timetable comes from, to be honest.
I don't know.
Grief is not linear. It does not give a fuck about your calendar and 365 days. And we're talking in the first week of January also. So we, you know, of course we just got through this December 31st, you're a different person, and January 1st, you're somebody else, or you should be. Life does not give a fuck about your calendar. I'm telling you. So like this grief process, and we talked about this earlier, it's been 7 years and we're still up and down.
Oh, and it's a forever thing.
Yes. It just like
changes.
It just changes and morphs and ebbs and flows and things hit you at certain times and really good things come out of this, you know, new person, I guess. But that 1 year thing, I think it has nothing to do with the calendar and everything to do with where you're at. And it finds you where you're at. That's it.
Yeah, I agree. I think like maybe if you're working with a therapist, like I think that they put some type of a time frame on it. So you're not like doing anything crazy, chopping your hair off, whatever. Because like even literally after unrelated completely.
I love unrelated shit.
I went to get my hair done, I think like a month or two later. And I told her about it. She's like, I'm not letting you cut your hair off. I was like, I wasn't gonna. She's like, I wouldn't let you do that. I was like, and I was like, then you would know there was something wrong. Like, because I always have like longer hair.
But also you're a capable fucking woman. You can cut my hair.
I know, but I might have regretted.
Okay. You have a hair thing. Everybody's got something. That's cool.
That I might have. She knew me long enough.
Yeah.
But yeah, so going into this, I knew though that I was done. This was the thing. I had given so much of myself throughout the school day that I had zero left because of grief, but because of stress, because of the disciplinary issues, because I wasn't getting enough support from the supposed support staff above. Like it was a shit show. And I just watched as it's like just circling the drain. And I'm like, I am not about this life anymore. Like, I can't do this. And when I'm coming home and I can barely handle my own kids, something's got to give here. So back to the reel. I was lying in bed. I was on my husband's Instagram for his landscaping company. And I told him, I was like, oh, I'll, help you with your Instagram, whatever. Give me something to do. Give me experience, whatever. So I'm on his account. So it wasn't like anything about me for the algorithm. And all of a sudden, there's this reel that's for burnt out teachers that you could do virtual assistants. And I was like, what the fuck is this?
Yeah. What is a virtual assistant? I didn't know what a virtual assistant was until like mid last year.
Same. Well, until February. So I was like, okay. Just getting me thinking about the possibility of doing something else. Like, because you are in such a capped mindset. I've been telling this to a lot of people, especially with teaching. You are in a capped mindset. There's no abundance mindset in teaching because you get steps. You are a fucking robot. You do the same shit every year because you have to follow whatever, the robot shit that they want you to follow. And again,
and also it's always been sold to teachers that the benefits are so good, right? Like the benefits are great and they sort of handcuff you by your tenure, your 401k, your
pension that you're not going to enjoy.
Yeah.
My mom fucking died and she can't enjoy her pension. I'm sorry.
Was she a teacher?
Yes.
Oh, Jesus. Yeah.
She retired, but it doesn't matter because guess what? When you can use that money, I don't want to use it then. I want to use it right the fuck now.
Yeah.
So I was like, I have to get out. So I saw that and it was a course. I was like, all right, you know what? I'm going to invest in me. I'm going to bite the bullet. I did it. I started it. And in the nooks and crannies of my day, I was doing this course. I was setting myself up. And in the meantime, I was also talking to a friend of mine who is a business coach and he has our money and he does all our money and stuff. My husband would know more than I do.
Somebody help me.
Yeah. He's like, you need to get out. And literally I told my husband, I'm like, let's sit down in the meeting with him. I want to hear what he has to say. And it was like the kick in the ass that I needed. Like, you could do something else. You are capable of doing something else. And sometimes you just need that other person to say, hey, you know what? I've been there. He has other businesses too. He's not just financial. He's like, you could do this. I was like,
sometimes you just need permission.
Okay. Yeah, exactly.
And not necessarily permission from the closest person in your life, right? Like,
yeah,
your husband was like, yeah, do whatever the fuck you want. Mine is too. I need permission sometimes from people who've either been there before or somebody that doesn't really know my history, doesn't know me that well. That's just like, yeah, you can fucking do it. Go. Like, exactly. What are you waiting for?
But yeah, so I was like, let's do this. So I had said, I'm going to put in for a leave of absence. I put in for a leave of absence, which I'm still technically under a leave of absence.
Okay. So is this in February of 24?
Yes, last year.
So just about a year ago.
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
Almost a year. So I was like, I'm going to put in for the leave of absence. If they deny it, I'm resigning.
Okay.
I put forth that into the universe. Like, I don't care.
Yeah.
But
we'll try it this way.
Exactly. So my reasoning was valid because I had to put in why. I was like, I'm literally losing it here. So mentally, I'm not stable to just continue at the pace that I'm going. Mm-hmm. So with that, they ended up granting me it. But I had done that just really as a safety net with no intention of going back.
Sure.
So my goal was by September, I needed to make what I was making a month. Now I had summer pay. I had broke up my paycheck so that I would get paid in the summer. So I was still getting paid through August. The end of August was D-Day because I wasn't going to get paid in September. By September, I covered my income.
Monthly or the entire year?
Monthly. Yeah,
okay.
I wish the entire year.
It's coming.
Your lips to God's ears. I hope so. But again, that's the capped mindset. The fact that I would never have believed that any of this is possible, but my yearly salary, I totally can make a month.
Well, 100%. And also when you break it down into how many hours you're working versus what you're getting paid per hour, you can probably work half as much for 100%. Twice as much.
It's insane.
Yeah.
And again, and it's the flexibility of it.
Yeah.
So in May, I had finished the course component. I was kind of floundering finding my first client. and I don't have time to flounder. So I found another group that had one-to-one coaching, a business coaching model for virtual assistants. I jumped into that and simultaneously found my first client the end of May, who, by the way, I'm still working with to this day. And she has big plans because her business is taken off. We've built the plane as she's flying it together. And she's like, I want you to be my only.
Oh, okay.
I want to be your only client. There you go.
Exclusive.
So,
yeah.
And she's like, how much do you want to be making a month? I told her. And she's like, all right, let's make this happen. Now, on the side, in my mind, my dream goal is like, okay, I'd love to continue working with her and maybe another individual as an assistant type. And then on the side, my little passion project is helping other teachers realize that they can do something else other than what's around them in the four walls of the classroom, because they feel stuck. And it kills me that people feel so stuck.
Yeah.
And, I understand in some ways like they are stuck, but not everyone is stuck.
Yeah.
They choose.
I mean, you allow yourself to be stuck. I mean, you can just walk, like you can just take your dirty diaper off. You don't have to sit in it. We're capable women. We know how to take diapers off. Just like take it off and move out. That's a lot easier said than done. And I totally get it. I am, in a different world where I've never been in a teaching job. I've never been in a job that has given me so much security and safety that I would continue to get abused every day. Right?
Yeah.
Like I hired a teacher. I hired a special education teacher to be our general manager. She is the salt of the earth. She is the best human I know. And she was getting hit at work. And I was like, listen, I probably can't replace your salary, but I can guarantee we won't hit you. She was like, sold. I mean,
it comes down to that.
But that is like a reality of our education system. And I'm not educated enough myself to go into a conversation or an argument about the education system. All I know is my experience and my experience talking with really, really good teachers. It is a travesty. We are losing them.
Oh, yeah.
It is a real problem.
It's scary.
I'm not saying that there is not really good teachers still teaching, but the amount of work and energy.
There's no incentive.
Safety is the only incentive. To me, right? From the outside looking in, safety, security, and summers off.
There's no mental stability.
But I don't know if they've been so skewed in it's okay to be abused. Like it's okay to be like this way because I get my summers off because somebody's telling them that. I'm not sure.
That's how a few of my coworkers were like, it just is what it is. I'm like, but it shouldn't be like this.
Yeah.
It shouldn't just be, it is what it is. Like we shouldn't just be bending over and taking it. I'm like, this is terrible.
Yeah. And some people don't feel stuck, right? Like they're really thankful for what they have there. And I love that because we still need really good teachers for our kids.
Exactly.
I've got kids in there too. But we also need to create a place for them to be able to voice it, to be able to make some change for themselves, for them to be able to take care of themselves so they're not burning out and overwhelmed. And
there just has to be more support from the top.
Yes. Yeah. This is a trickle down. That's the problem. Anyway, I could get on a real soapbox, but I don't really want to. Hey there, listeners. It's Katie. I wanted to talk to you a little bit about the Female Founders Collective. I started this collective because I know firsthand how challenging it can be to build a business from the ground up. As female founders, we're balancing so much, our dreams, our families, our sanity, and it can feel pretty lonely out there. That's why the collective is all about real connection and support. We're a community of women who are sharing what works, what doesn't, and having each other's backs. So if you're looking for a network that truly gets it, come join us at the Female Founders Collective. We meet virtually every single Wednesday at noon Central Standard Time. It's always free. It will never be a charge. This is something that I am really passionate about. Come and join us. You can register by going to katierip.com. One of my questions for you is, this sounds ridiculous because I am a business mentor. I really just found out what a VA was. I had to Google, what is a VA? I didn't know that there was a virtual assistant out there. Tell me, because probably a lot of people listening are entrepreneurs and
Mhm.
assistants. I actually just had a conversation this morning with a very successful, highly achieving real estate agent who absolutely needs a virtual assistant.
Mhm.
Needs an assistant, not necessarily virtual, but needs an assistant.
Yeah.
Virtual seems like the best course of action because it opens up the pool and they're already willing to assist. So can you just give me the 5th grade level of what a virtual assistant does, what they're capable of, if there's a limit on what they can do, what's the ideal? Like, give me your virtual assistant pitch.
Honestly, virtual assistants are just way more flexible because you don't have to pay for an office.
Sure.
You don't need to house them. You don't have to do like a workman's comp, any of that other
They're
stuff.
contractors.
Yeah, we're subcontracted
Yep.
out.
Yep. So for you money people, that means they're 1099.
Yeah, but I'm doing it. I'm the one who's sending out the invoice, and you don't have to worry about it. Just pay it and be done. So depending on each virtual assistant might specialize in different things. So it's up to what the client needs, which is who they're like looking for essentially.
Yeah. Like a matchmaking kind of.
Yeah, there's like social media management people also. That could be also a VA. They might be good at, making reels and doing all of that social media stuff. VAs can be in the inbox.
Sure. Like an email manager.
Emails, responding to emails, cleaning up the inbox, labeling it, especially if it's a disaster. What else? Newsletter creation, setting up flows, email flows. You could be in the DMs. So I do a bunch of messaging sequences for some of my clients. There's so many different names for things. So it's really what that person wants to kind of like specialize in or niche down in. For my client that I've been working with since May, I've been putting together her presentations because she's creating modules for a course. So she got her slides branded by someone, and I take those slides and I take her speech and I condense it down into a slideshow. So then,
yeah. So basically like editing. I mean, to me, it sounds like it's sort of like, what do you need? And I will figure out how to do it.
Correct.
Part of my coaching and mentoring for small business owners is like, get the fuck out of the weeds of the shit that you are not good at or you don't want to do and stay in your zone of genius because that's where all the money is. Let somebody else be in their zone of genius, which is assisting you to do that. Because there's a lot of people that really love to do that stuff. There are things that I should absolutely not be doing, right? Like I'm a visionary. I'm a big picture person.
Mm-hmm.
That's where I make my money, right? Like that's where my connection, the way that I do things is where I get the money. So there are things that I can do and I can do pretty well, but I don't wanna. And there's nothing wrong with that. There is nothing wrong with not wanting to do something. As female entrepreneurs, for some reason, we were sold this bullshit bag of goods that we have to do everything.
Well, I mean, it's just like motherhood.
Yeah.
It's basically just being a woman.
And the accountant and the email newsletter person and the social media. It's probably the number one thing I get asked about is like, what about social media? I hate doing social media. I don't want to dance in front of TikTok. I don't, kind of these like overreaching things.
Yeah.
But really what it means is they don't know how, or that what they've done so far hasn't seen any sort of result, right? Like there's no ROI for the time that they're putting in, but it's free advertising. And I'm making air quotes here. It's free advertising. No, it's not. Right? Like you have to put some money into it in order to get something out of it.
I think that's with most things.
Yeah. And by money, I mean, you need to hire somebody that knows what the fuck they're doing because it is a vehicle that works. It's not the only way to make money.
But it's also timely. It's also a timely thing. Like you need to, it takes time to see.
The amount of time that people are spending trying to make one reel.
Yeah, it's a lot.
3 hours when you could be making $150 an hour somewhere else because Instagram is free does not make sense. Pay somebody $50 an hour to do it and you go out and do the other thing. So it's really like, I think changing our mindset around what are we actually paying for? It's not what we're paying for people to do. It's what we can do while the other person is doing it.
It's the value that's there.
100%.
It's definitely the value. Yeah. I mean, it depends on who you are as a virtual assistant. You know, some virtual assistants might be like, okay, give me the tasks. I'll get them done. Be done with it. Even like monthly. I'm the type of VA that I want to build a relationship with you because I want to be your biggest fan. I want to support your business. I want us to be a partnership. I want to do this together. I don't want to be doing the bitch work because I feel like that's what I've been doing for 14 years. And I don't want that anymore. So I want to feel valued. And thankfully, the client that I started with, like, she up-leveled me from the start, like nobody's business. And she's like, you are my assistant, and treats me as such. And anyone else that I've actually attracted has been very similar. And if not, then we just went separate ways.
Yeah. Oh, well, we attract the people that we want, right?
Correct.
Or that we don't want, because we attract those people too.
Oh, yes. Somehow I got one of those.
You know, you mentioned something a little bit, the bitch work, right? Like, what my bitch work is not necessarily your bitch work. I think that's where some people get confused. And I am totally guilty of this. Like, if I don't want to do it, nobody wants to do it.
That's not the case.
That is not true. I don't want to plan events. I love the idea of planning events. I don't want to do it. But guess what? My general manager loves it. She loves that shit.
Perfect.
She loves like the logistical part of it, right?
Yeah.
So giving people what I consider bitch work is like her treasure. So thinking about like nobody wants to do this is just not true. Somebody does want to dive into your spreadsheet. Somebody does want to return emails, and somebody does want to deal with complaints. And like, that's what they're good at. Let them do it.
Yeah. Let them.
Let them. Oh, yes. Mel Robbins. So tell me about what future holds for you. What does it look like? You know, because you're coming up on a year here of your leave of absence. So peace out, school district.
Yeah. So I need to put in that letter of resignation soon.
What does that feel like?
I'm probably going to cry, like, of just
relief.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I actually was talking to my coworker about it. I was like, when I get back from vacation, I'm going on vacation this week. I'm going to come back and talk to the union rep and see how to go about this. So I'm vetted into my pension, so I'll get something eventually, you know, when I'm hopefully still alive.
Yeah, right.
To reap the harvest, or I just pull it. I don't know how that goes.
Yeah.
That and like whatever days I have left, I get some money off of that too. And $20 a day. Cool.
Yeah.
Yeah. And then it's peace out. I'm done. They don't. Nobody cares. Nobody gives a fuck about you. No one's coming to save you. You have to do whatever you need to do for yourself, for your family. So this is a funny thing that you brought up about new year, new you. I never really like thought of that, especially within the last 2 years. I was just trying to survive.
Yeah.
But something changed. I don't know if it was December 31st. I don't know when it was, but something changed in me around this time period about how I am not letting shit affect me like it did every other year before this. How I'm choosing joy. I am saying yes to opportunity that's going to provide value for me. At least open the conversation. And then I'm going to say no if it doesn't fucking align. And I did that already within 6 days of this year. But it's funny because my therapist was like, she met with me on the 2nd. She goes, you look lighter. You look different. In the past 2 years, she's like, you look different today than you've looked in a very, very long time. And I'm like, this is fucking weird.
Yeah.
Because like even she noticed it, like that I am showing it, exuding it, whatever, all like the 2025 vibes are a thing for me.
I'm putting my mentor coaching hat on now. I think when you sign that resignation letter and you hand it in, when you feel that relief, you have no idea what's going to open for you. Really.
Almost like gave me goosebumps.
I'm such a believer in allowing yourself, when you start cutting away the fat, you start really getting into I don't need this anymore. This does not serve me anymore. All you're doing is making room for all the good things. And good things can be bad things sometimes, right? Like,
Mhm.
hey, there are plenty of things in my life that I have said no thank you to that have also given me the most beautiful silver linings.
Yeah.
And the most beautiful things that have, when I thought it was a no, when I thought it was a rejection, when I thought it was something that I was really scared to let go of and I let it go, it cracks you wide open.
Yeah.
It can be something as very simple as you've already known you're going to leave, but there will come a time where you sign it, you give it to them, you get your pension, you do whatever it is. There's going to be some action there that right away you're going to see some sort of benefit from.
Yeah. The officialness of
Amazing.
it.
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, again, I've seen shifts already just in my business, just the way things have aligned thus far. Like, even though monetarily at the moment, my income has gone down, but it's because I've been making room for something else. Like, January is a long month. There's so much life and possibility here that, like, I'm not even scared.
Well,
Like,
and you just started. Like, we forget. We see, 6-figure months and shit on Instagram all the time.
mhm.
It takes a while. I mean, and you've already replaced some of your salary.
Yeah. I mean, I haven't gone below.
Some businesses don't make money for 5 years at all. So also give yourself some grace. I know that's really hard for us and
I
I
know.
don't love it either, but like give it some time. You've got plenty of time. But I do think you're going to end up, March is going to be crazy for you. I just be prepared. That's all I'm saying. It's going to be amazing.
Please. I welcome it.
It's coming. So I asked you a little bit about virtual assistants and tell me about what you like to do. Like, what do you specialize in? If somebody was looking for a virtual assistant and wanted to work with you, what do you like to do? I know there's some things here, right?
Yeah. I mean, I enjoy newsletter creation. I love putting together freebies for lead gen. I don't mind doing some lead gen and having conversation with people and socializing a little bit, but I definitely enjoy writing a newsletter, putting together like that old school teacher in me wants to put a worksheet together or a PDF.
I love that.
Yeah, I have fun doing those things.
And there's plenty of people out here that hate doing that shit or have no idea how to do it. And then to have to learn it.
It's all time wasted.
Yeah, it's so much time wasted. Yeah.
This is the thing. I'm not saying yes to things that I do not enjoy anymore. And I've realized kind of what I do and don't enjoy. So
yes,
that's where we're at now.
Life is too short to be doing shit you don't want to do, period.
Yeah.
Personally, professionally, spiritually, physically, it just is too short.
If I'm getting agita from having a conversation with you just to have a discovery call,
it's why I have discovery calls so I can be like, this is.
Yeah, see the vibes there.
Yeah, I need a vibe. I need to know that people are on my wavelength. And
I had a discovery call the other day with this woman. Mind you, it was like Friday night. I'm like, sweet Friday night, the two of us on here.
Oh,
yeah,
I'm into that.
Yeah, so here we are, and we honestly hit it off. It was the craziest thing.
Yeah,
but it was just things didn't align right away, but I ended up following up and she's like, I'm off because of, surgery. So I'm going to fix the problem that's here because I can't just hand this over, but let's revisit this again in February. And I'm like, I don't normally just hang around for these situations, but I was like, there's something about you that we really connect. So long as I'm not busting at the seams, I was like, we're going to do this.
Yeah.
So
tell me about one of the things that I do myself, and this is a fault of mine. I'm working on it too, because I preach about this all the time. But the feeling of, or the theory of, it's too hard to teach somebody to do this the way I want it done. I'm going to do it myself.
Yeah.
Right. Of course, I have a theory about that because I'm like, no. We're not spending time doing that. We're spending time doing the things that we're making money at so we can pay somebody else to do that. Right. And in my personal life, I have somebody that does my laundry. I don't want to do my laundry.
Blessed.
Oh, right. Her name is Yolanda. She's amazing. I have never, yes. So she comes once or twice a week and does all of our laundry. I want my laundry done.
Oh, that's amazing.
I don't want to do it. And I work So I pay her. That's what I use my money on. Period.
One day.
Yeah. So fine. But tell me about if somebody has that sort of excuse of it's just easier for me to do it myself. I'm so bogged down. I'm so overwhelmed. I can't even get any like a time or a space to talk to a virtual assistant to get them to do stuff for me.
My suggestion probably would be this. So first of all, this other woman who's basically digging out of the hole that she was in from whoever she had helping her before.
Sure.
I told her, I'm like, whatever you're doing, your approach, write it down in some facet. Then you can just hand this over to whether it's me or someone else. Yeah. You have that. Okay. Well, I don't have time to do that. Well, you make time for what you want to make time for. That's one. But also ChatGPT, if you voice memo it to ChatGPT, it can help put this into a nice set of directions for how you want your stuff to align. Like literally we'll be like, okay, hey, I want step-by-step directions for this person to set up my honeybook, to email, X, Y, and Z, and make sure that they incorporate this, that, the other thing for each email, and then use template 2, template 5, whatever it is. And then you can list it out on ChatGPT and it will formulate it into a nice little document for you. And here it is.
That is such a good tip. I feel like that's a really good reel for you. Like I use ChatGPT for so much. Like I don't copy and paste everything, but I definitely I need some inspiration. So that's what I use.
Oh yeah.
Her name is Eden for me. I named her. Her name is Eden. But Eden goes through and gives me inspiration. That's really what I ask her for. Is can you give me inspiration for a reel for this, blah, blah, blah. That's
Eden can do everything.
Yeah.
There's a lot.
I use it for everything, and I've never thought about that. I've never thought, can you give me a list of things that I think I do for my virtual assistant? That is a great tip. I'm going to take it. And everybody here that's listening, you should take this too.
Yeah. I mean, it gets a bad rap, I'm sure. I know it does.
Well, whatever. Fuck them. Okay.
Well, why? Why waste time?
Yeah.
It could think for you. All the meat and potatoes you're putting into it, you're tweaking it. You're making it.
It's your voice.
But it's articulating it better.
Yeah. Well, we could go into that all day long too.
Yeah. So
I just don't care what people think about it.
Yeah. Well,
it's made my life so much easier, and it allows me to do the things that I do and love and share with the world. So
yeah.
The big $1 million question is, are you taking clients?
Yes, I am taking them.
How can people find you? How can I set up a discovery call?
Through Instagram, but also there's a link for my page on Instagram.
Yeah, so you have a website, right?
Yeah, but you don't necessarily need one as a virtual assistant. You really don't, but which I might go back and forth with consolidating.
Are most people finding you on Instagram? Is that how people are connecting?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, so
it's the wild, wild west out there on the gram. It is a whole different world for people who are just teachers or just at a 9-to-5. The gram, social media is a different ballgame. There is so much flipping potential on the gram and social media. Truly, just grab the bull by the horns and go do something else if you are not happy with whatever you're doing. There are so much potential for you.
Yeah. And I think you say it all the time, or you hear it all the time, life is too short. But until you get into a loss, you are really grieving, you are really in it. I don't know that you can really, and it may not be a loss of somebody else, right? It may be a loss of a relationship.
Some type of severe.
Some sort of loss of a job, of something traumatic, of something. And it doesn't have to be traumatic. It's a loss of something that makes your life before and after. It has changed my life significantly. It's changed my family's life. It's changed so much for me personally that when I talk to people that have this kind of reaction or this kind of action to take, that I'm actually not going to sit in this dirty diaper anymore because I don't know how long I have.
Yeah.
It's been shown to me
that's the reality. Yeah. And I wasn't going to sit in the diaper anymore.
Yeah.
yeah, the whole changing the trajectory. You know, if you're not happy, fucking do something about it.
Yeah.
You have that choice.
I love it. This was such a lovely conversation.
Yeah, I really enjoyed it. I'm like pumped now.
Yeah. Oh,
Mark.
Good. I'm also pumped. I've got a whole day of Monday stuff to do. So
I know. So do I.
I love me a Monday though. So I have a desk that needs to get cleared off.
But it's Monday and you're home, right?
Right. Yes.
It's different. It hits different. When last year I wasn't here.
Yeah. I mean, I think I have, sort of this Love Monday idea in my head all the time. And part of the reason I love Mondays is because I've created my life to love Monday. I don't dread going to work.
No Sunday scaries.
Nothing. I love Sunday for sure.
Yeah.
I also love Monday. I love to
the routine.
Yeah, because I love my job.
Yeah.
Because I love my life. I mean, I'm not trying to escape it. So
exactly.
There is something to be said about, yes, you can do all the things to love Mondays, right? Like you can take care of yourself. You can put appointments on the calendar. You can do that. But if systematically and fundamentally you do not love your life, you will never fucking love a day of the week except Friday, which basically just gets you to the end of your work week. I don't love that people love Fridays that much.
No, because then you're trying to escape it.
Yeah. It's my mission to get people to like Mondays instead of Fridays.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But again, because you're creating a life that you don't want to escape from.
Yeah. Yeah.
Exactly.
I love it. Brittany, thank you so much for coming on. I really appreciate it.
Thank you for having me.
It's been so great. And that's a wrap on today's episode. I hope you enjoyed diving deep into the world of living authentically with me. Before you go, don't forget to connect with me on Instagram. Shoot me a message at Katie Rip. I'd love to hear your thoughts on today's episode and connect with you further. And remember, if you want more details on today's episode or just want to explore more about designing your life unapologetically, head on over to my website at katierip.com. There, you'll find all the juicy details and resources you need to keep the inspiration flowing. Lastly, if you'd like to join me on the show, whether it's to tell about your experience of designing your own life, to share your expertise, or if you'd like to participate in lifestyle coaching live on air, don't hesitate to reach out. Your story could inspire countless others on their own path to living authentically. Thanks for tuning in. Until next time, keep living boldly, designing your life, and remember, #actually I can.